Alright, who you gonna call? Huge movie fanatic Nate coming back at you to review a movie that is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. 1984 film called, a little known film you might have heard of, called Ghostbusters. Now this is very interesting. I picked up within the last week, there's this one last kind of mom and pop video store slash, only reason they're in existence still is because they're a TV seller too, so they sell TVs and deal in TVs and stuff. But I picked this up, they have a whole bunch of old posters and standees and all kinds of stuff that they just unearthed from wherever the hell they were storing it for the last 30 odd years or something like that. And I picked this up for $5, which you could probably get a lot more for on eBay, which is a VHS, video store, a mini standee for the movie Ghostbusters. So this thing, is dated 85. RCA, Columbia Pictures home video. So this thing right here is older than some of you viewers. This is 29 years old, this piece of cardboard right here. So this is pretty much the thing that prompted this review. Of course, it's also the 30th anniversary of the movie, and it's going to have a week-long limited theatrical re-release in remastered in 4K. I think in what's it called? I always get these two ones mixed up. Labor Day. I always get it confused with Memorial Day. I mean, every fucking day is Labor Day. So I don't do that. But anyway, Labor Day weekend, I believe, or Labor Day week or whatever, it's going to be a 1 week limited 4K restoration, and I'm debating if it comes around me to whether to see it or not, because I don't know, I don't want to, if you could see it with an audience, it'd be fun, but if there's going to be no one in there, it's I can just watch it at home. As a matter of fact, the last couple of days I did. That's what prompted getting this, and also just the fact that it's the 30th anniversary and all that stuff, just it kind of made me want to rewatch it. So this marketing stuff works. The standee works. It made me want to see it, which I did. I didn't buy. I already had it, so I didn't, buy it. But this is Ghostbusters, and I gotta tell you, I don't know the stars for this movie. I really don't. It's one of these movies that you're clouded by the history of the movie. I saw this fucking movie. I saw this I saw this rootin' tootin'. Okay, I saw this movie in the theater, and my mom took me to see it in the theater, and I was only 7 years old, and it scared me when it's all right, get her, and it's rah, and the head popped out. It scared me, and my mom, I remember, I don't understand why, but my mom was mad that I was scared, and she's like, it's not scary. I'm to a 7-year-old it is. I mean, shit, what the fuck, It's not scary, whatever. It was to a 7-year-old. So that scene scared me. So I saw this in the theater, and it scared the shit out of me. Scared the shit out of me as a 7-year-old. I don't know if the rest of the movie scared me. I can't even remember. I mean, I'm sure we sat and saw the rest of it. I can't remember if the rest of it scared me or not. I think after that happened, maybe I was more ready for anything else to come. Actually, that's one of the most scary things in the movie, is that first thing with that first ghost, one of the scariest images. So anyway, like I was trying to say, is I don't know how I feel about this movie, because when you've experienced a movie for the last 30 years of your life, which is the majority of your life, and you've grown up with it, and it was a part of your childhood and stuff, your whatever is skewed, your opinion about it is skewed. First of all, I mean, shit, this is back when Ivan Reitman or whatever was doing collaboration with, what's his name? I'm going to try to remember it without looking at the standee. Elmer Bernstein, good job, Nate. Which did I loved Elmer Bernstein, which did a fantastic score for Meatballs, which I've reviewed. I should actually re-review that, because my review might have been a little, I think there's more to say about Meatballs than I said. So, Meatballs. Elmer Bernstein did Meatballs, Heavy Metal, Stripes, I believe. So he was doing pretty much a lot of the Ivan Reitman stuff, and the score for this movie is absolutely phenomenal. As his stuff, most of his stuff. Well, I don't think I've heard a score of his I don't like. Most of his stuff is. And the score really is a big part of what makes this movie great, and just the gothicness about it. I can't I can't talk, and I can't finalize like a star rating for this movie. Why don't we go 3 and excuse me. I guess 3.5 stars for Ghostbusters. I might as well just go. It's really hard to do, because I've been aware, or this movie's been with me for the last 30 years of its entire existence. It's hard to be objective. Although, like I said, I did rewatch this within the last couple days, and watching it again, as an adult, you can see it like as an adult, and things that I used to think were the best. Like, it's amazing to me that it seems like as a kid there was so much more ghost busting in the movie, but there's only like 2 scenes of ghost busting. The initial scene at the hotel, and then there's like nothing until the end. But when you're a kid, it seems like there's so much, like the scene when they're in the hotel, it seems so short now. And it's the weirdest thing. When I watched it, it was like it was over before it started. It's just like, it's really weird. And then they do the montage stuff, I guess, which kind of half counts as whatever, but, I mean, this is one of those situations where everything kind of worked out. Everything really worked out, and the screenplay that Dan Aykroyd did, and with, I think with Harold Ramis was pretty amazing, and just the performers, I mean, are classic. Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. And I was watching it a couple nights ago, and I was thinking to myself, I wonder why they did the Ernie Hudson, like why they had a fourth, if it was like the studio that said, well, we got to have a black guy, or I do, watching it again as an adult, I do wonder why they later on decided to have the fourth person whom, isn't very utilized very much or whatever. So it must have been some kind of a studio request or something, but it's pretty funny. It's got some stuff that's still funny, and what I call, I have this term which I use, which is to describe a lot of humor, like, corporate humor, which I think is like, stuff, a lot of stuff with, Judd Apatow stuff, and a lot of stuff with, what's his name in it, Paul Rudd, and Seth Rogen. I mean, I kind of classify a lot of that, if not all of it, as like what I'd call corporate humor, which is, I don't know, kind of a by-the-numbers humor. And I've talked about, like, I reviewed Say Anything recently, and I talked about the humor in that movie for me being more what I'd call human, or humor from the heart, or human humor, or something like that, or maybe non-corporate humor. And this movie for me is kind of that same non-corporate humor from the heart. Some really funny stuff that even obviously you've heard it for the last 30 years, so even if you know it's coming, it's still funny. So obviously at the time, 30 years ago, the visual effects were the top effects of its day, and I kind of wonder how it's going to go over. I mean, I'm assuming and hoping, I can only assume they didn't, I haven't heard anything about them tweaking the effects for the limited week-long theatrical release this fall. But I don't imagine they tweaked them. But it'll be interesting, like, if there's people who see it like, the graphics suck, like teenagers, and even people that are in their 20s now, might say that. God, stuff like that. So maybe I've been talking about Ghostbusters long enough. I guess 3.5 stars. It's hard to be objective when you've spent the whole 30 years of its existence with it. So it's, famous, and like I say, the Ghostbusters, when you watch it as a 37-year-old, it seems like there's not a lot of ghost busting in it. You know, as much as you remember. It's like, because movies are just, I don't know, I guess maybe action and stuff is so drawn out now, more so and stuff, that 30-year-old action, I guess, maybe doesn't last as long, which, you know, could be a good thing too. You know, but also I mean, I tend to believe that the older you get, like when you're a kid, your summer vacation seems to last 6 months or even longer, and when you're 37, you know, that the period of time that would be the summer vacation, like summer, it seems like a month or 2 or 3 weeks to me. So I think when you're a kid, I think you're, you know, as you age, your whatever's of whatever change as far as time. You know, so like a long movie won't necessarily seem as long when you're older than a long movie will seem when you're a kid. Stuff like that, I think, slowly happens as you age. For example, if people live to be 200 years old, I mean, a year would seem like just 4 weeks to them if they were 200 years old. The longer, the more time, in my experience, the more time you've existed, the quicker time passes. And of course, it happens so slow you don't necessarily notice it year to year. But I swear, every summer gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So thank you very much for watching my review of Ghostbusters. If it's something weird in your neighborhood, who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters. One of the things that I watched, what I think every time I see it as an adult, and I see that scene of like which when I watch it, it seems like it was a longer scene. That scene where like they all get screwed by ghosts or whatever. It seems like a longer scene that they just used a part of when like Dan Aykroyd gets a blowjob from a ghost. Every time I watch that as an adult, I think, why is that there? I mean, it doesn't need. It's just like for like a what's this rated? PG. For a PG movie, you don't need to have like a ghost giving a blowjob intention or implied, but whatever. I kind of have a problem with that. Every time that scene comes up, I feel like it just doesn't fit. It just doesn't go there. But whatever. Like, why are the ghosts coming and screwing these guys? Like, please don't put us in the incarceration unit. We'll screw you. So, you know what's so cool about this thing? Is it's got VHS on this side and beta on that side. Tell me that ain't the coolest damn thing you've ever seen. Thanks for watching.